All right, everyone, it's the afternoon of October 5th, and I'm just getting ready to head out here. We've got temperatures are just kind of like plummeting right now. It was a high of about 75 degrees today, and we've got, by the time that last light comes, it's about 3:15 now. In about 4 hours, it's going to be about 55 degrees, and you can just feel it in the air right now. It went from being, kind of warm out and everything a couple hours ago when I was prepping a spot for the rut, and now all of a sudden, like, there's a nice crisp, cool wind and stuff, and it feels good out there and everything. So I'm gonna get out there. We've got a wind that's shifting from like a west southwest to, by the end of the night, it's going to be northwest. So I've got one spot in particular that kind of it's a big clump of timber, really thick stuff that has a trail that used to be mowed back there by a landowner, and it looks like it hasn't been mowed in many years, so it's kind of overgrown and everything, but it still looks like it's the path of least resistance coming from the back end. Like that timber kind of forms like an oxbow in a cattail slough, and so I'm thinking that they could be bedded back anywhere in there. I've scouted it earlier this year and everything, and it's just really thick back there, and deer could be bedded anywhere back there. So I got a tree ready that is kind of allowing me to kind of sit back, overlooking that kind of overgrown trail that's leading out, and it's going to dump down into a standing cornfield. So my hope is that they're going to be bedded in the back of that, to maybe want to be heading towards that cornfield tonight to feed and everything. So I'm gonna get back in there, and this is the first time I've ever hunted back there, so I'm trying to pick this property apart a little bit, just throw hunts at at different places and stuff, and see what I see, and then maybe adjust from there and stuff. So hopefully I see something tonight. Some decent track along here, and stretches where you see a lot of this corn just kind of eaten up on the edges, stalks busted down. So this is way back here too. It's really secluded back here. Just not a lot of people come back here in general. So that's pretty fresh. Busted off the limb right there. My spot's just right up here that I got a tree ready. Trail runs back there. It gets thicker as you get, and narrower as it gets back into the thicker cover. I'm on the back side of this little hill here. Gonna get up into that tree right there. Couple of does. Just busted out, might have been a doe and a fawn. They were just on the back side of the lip of this crest of this ridge right here. Just on the back side, and they busted back into the thicker cover. So they didn't blow or anything, they just kind of trotted off. I'm gonna try to get up, and I'm shooting a doe tonight if it comes through, so I'd be happy to have her come back through. All right, guys, it's a couple days after that hunt, and I just got done with work, and I'm gonna head in here again to that area and adjust here. I've got, I'm gonna have about a couple hours to hunt by the time I get all situated and everything, and I'm just gonna go in and I had that doe in on me. She was at 20 yards. She was just kind of on a little bit on high alert. She picked up my ground scent a little bit. Those deer ended up coming in from behind me that night. I saw 8 deer total that night, including 2 bucks at last light that sparred for about 5-10 minutes, about 50 yards from me, down in a low ground area where basically all the deer ended up being. So that's where I'm gonna go in and try to set up tonight. I'm gonna have to do a little trimming and things like that, I think, to actually try to find a tree to get into, or I may end up having to sit on the ground. So we'll just have to see. When I scouted this area earlier this year, there weren't a lot of good trees to get up into that area, even though it looked like it looks like a really nice classic staging area. I mean, it dumps down from really good bedding cover all around it. It's a little low ground area there with some habitat diversity, kind of secluded right off a field edge. It's got corn on the property that I'm hunting. On the adjacent property next to it, it's got beans in it right now that are ready to come out any day. So it didn't surprise me to see that a lot of those deer ended up down there, because there's just, you know, good edge cover down there, some grassy openings, things like that. Just kind of an area where, you know, little systems funnel down into this little low ground area, into a low corner there where they can enter the field. So I'm going to try to get in there. I just chose not to take that shot on the doe the other night. She just was a little bit on high alert. She was quartered toward me too much in terms of, and the main thing is I had to try, halfway between me and the deer there was an opening of about the size of, a little bit bigger than a basketball probably. I had somewhat of a decent clearing that I could have shot through. And I know my arrow setup can handle that shot. Like, I'm not afraid, especially at 15 yards and in, to put an arrow on a quartering toward deer where it needs to be on, in front of that shoulder. Kind of aiming for that exit on the back side and put an arrow through her. I've done that multiple times. I've gotten complete pass-throughs. I'm shooting an arrow with 150 grain single bevel broadhead that has, it's about 18, little over 18% FOC and stuff. So I feel good about, I know I'm super confident that my arrow can penetrate that area and get in there and kill that deer, but I just didn't like what it would have taken me to get to her. If you get any deflection in terms of it hitting a branch or something like that halfway there, all of a sudden that arrow gets thrown off just a little bit and it's just too risky. You end up, maybe having a situation where you end up gut shooting a deer or something like that, and it just wasn't worth it. So they did end up, it stinks because that deer did end up kind of blowing out of there and smelling me and stuff, and took 4 with her. So, but then there was other deer that came through that night and everything. So I'm just going to go back in there, try to adjust off of what I saw and see what happens here tonight. So, all right, I'm going to get going and get in there. And next time you see me, we'll probably be in the tree. I'm only about 2 stakes high, but this is where they fed down into the other night. A group of about 5 of them came from that direction in some thick bedding. It's kind of a transition where it's still relatively thick through there, but it opens up a little as you get further away from the edge here. And they came over here and dropped down into here eventually. And then the bean field is right over here. And young buck a couple nights ago walked that field edge, came in right through here. There's an opening right through there, about 8-10 feet wide. He just funneled right through there. And then there was, I don't know, where they were fighting was right over in here. I never did get eyes on the second buck that he was actually sparring with and stuff, but they kind of messed around, making a bunch of racket for about 10 minutes. So right at last light, so I let it get dark and got my stuff gathered up and took my time and then just kind of slowly made my way out of here. So we'll see what happens tonight. that's exactly what I was hoping would happen tonight. I came in here looking to get a big doe and use a bonus tag, and it's only 5:30. Still got about an hour and 20 minutes of daylight left, and she came in absolutely perfect right through that little opening to my right here. Wind was perfect coming down. We got thermals kind of dropping in cooperation with that north wind, blowing my scent right back behind me. I'm 2 sticks high, and she had no idea I was here. And it's close quarters, so you gotta kind of wait for your opportunity to draw. And I drew, and she didn't hear me bleed at her the first time, and she stopped pretty nice when I played it the second time, and she was quartering away, somewhat sharply, not crazy sharp, but somewhat sharp. So I wanted to put it a little bit back, and I maybe got a little bit back further than I wanted to, but she crashed out of here, and she went up onto the hillside up over here, and I just heard a whole bunch of crashing and thrashing, and I believe she died right up there. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here. I might give it a little bit of time yet, just to see if a buck were maybe to come through. But yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping to do, is get a doe and get my 2025 season started here. It's been a little bit of a grind these first couple weeks. If you don't have like a classic green food source, like a food plot or something like that, or a big alfalfa field or something where you can kind of get a look as to where they're coming in through and feeding, it can be a little tough on these mid-September openers. But yeah, it's worked well. Just going in, hunting, seeing how deer move through an area, adjust. That's kind of what the mindset was. So that was awesome. About as good as it could have worked out, and lots of daylight left too. So I'm gonna give it a little bit here and maybe go up and look for her and stuff and see if I can find blood. But I'm gonna give it a little bit of time here. All right, I'm gonna go see if I can find her, guys. And you can just want to show you the tree set up here, just a couple sticks high. I'm only my platform's probably about 8 feet up overlooking the area, but it's a nice spot. I mean, it's October 7th today. And I mean, this is an area where I could definitely see a buck staging in that late October time period. You're gonna have a lot of deer feeding out in the bean stubble here after the guy gets combined, corn stubble here, low ground corner right here, habitat diversity all around, nice edge here, path leading out to there, that's nice and open, path leading out through here, and it just kind of screams a staging area where a buck would drop down. This whole backside over here is good bedding cover, so I could definitely see me throwing another sit at this spot and everything and trying to get a buck out of here too in a few weeks. So, but I'm gonna go and see if I can find blood and hopefully find her quick. I've got blood in here. About, I don't know, 35 yards from where I shot her. Turkey just flew up over there. That's what I've been hearing in here. But I don't know how much blood I'm gonna have on the actual track, because I think the arrow might have lodged in the backside shoulder. So I'm just gonna keep moving here. I do have a black lab that, if I have any problems at all, I can bring in, and I've trained him to track and get him on a lead out here and try to find her. But I think she's right up here somewhere, not too terribly far. Pretty good blood here. It's not like she went through a trail or anything. She's just got a whole bunch, busted through a bunch of buckthorn. That is what I ended up doing. You can see hit that backside leg, kind of on the joint there. That's what stopped things. So yeah, put her down really fast and everything like that. So when she comes through like that, it's kind of you know, you're thinking you're gonna get a straight broadside shot and everything, but she ended up kind of veering off the other direction by the time I got an opportunity to draw on. So but yeah, just thrilled to get a doe like this and get a bonus tag on her. We are out of venison and everything, and I might be grilling up a tenderloin tonight when I get home, but I got a lot of work to do, so I'm gonna get her all cleaned up and taken care of and get her out of here. So all right, I'm getting her I'm getting the hide off her and everything. We finally got a cool night here. It's been hot the first few weeks of the season and everything, and we finally got a bit of a cold front that's moved through, and so it's upper 30s right now. So I'm gonna get the hide off her and let her hang overnight and everything, and then I'll quarter her out in the morning. But I just wanted to take a minute to talk a little bit about just kind of show you how much fat she has on her. This is kind of what I expected from deer this year in general, just because of how, so we have had here in Minnesota 2 mild winters in a row in a good portion of the state and everything. And it's been followed by really wet growing seasons. So we get a lot of, you know, lush vegetation that's growing up in the early summer and everything. And it's lasted throughout the course of the summer. So lots of forbs, things like that. Deer are just so well fed right now. And it's just been such a boost. And I've seen so many does this summer with twins, with triplets. I saw a set of triplets and everything. And honestly, where I'm at, I don't see a lot of triplets, and that's an indication of just, you know, how healthy does are when they're raising those fawns and everything, and coming out of winter and stuff. So I just thought it was kind of neat to kind of see more proof of just that deer are going to be in really good shape here entering this winter and everything, when you look at how, you know, full of fat that this doe is and everything. So yeah, it's just good to see things like this, because it gives you an indication that deer are in good shape, and you know, they're going into the winter in a good spot and everything.